The bids are in. The gavel's dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right. This is WineBid podcast dedicated to all things wine value, wine auctions, wine retail, and just wine. With you as always, I'm Jeff Pickard on the WineBid marketing team with my compatriot here, our wine expert, Paul, the celebutante of Cepage Walker. Paul, welcome to the podcast. It's so great to have you.
Goodness.
We're going to be
talking. That's a good one.
Where you like that one?
It's almost not even wine related. Celebutante of Cepage. You're using like a French term for winemaking, and I don't know what a celebutante is. So, yeah. Anyway,
you don't?
No,
you don't. It's a young socialite.
You're wrong. Right there.
Especially one of limited accomplishment, who is the focus of sufficient media attention and public celebrity.
The limited accomplishment thing, that's the correct part of that definition. That is correct. The rest of it is all completely inaccurate.
You are and always will be a celebutante to me, Paul. Anyway, let's jump into this because we're going to be talking about some of the new French wine that's coming to auction. This is the auction ending the week of April 28th. It'll end at April 28th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We've got some really interesting French wine coming to auction. I'm going to jump right into it. By the way, you can bid on all this stuff right now. If you're listening to it before the 28th at 7 p.m. Pacific time, you can bid on it.
Specify this is the auction that closes on April.
I just said that like
April 28th, 2024.
2024. I've said that like 7 times now. Okay. So you could still bid on it. I'm jumping right in. Of course, you probably guessed it. 09 Mouton 3-liter OWC. How cool is that? $29.40. Boy, is that a party bottle if I ever saw one.
Yeah, lots of great large format Bordeaux.
Lots of great large format. I saw that. Did you see this 55 Latour for $11.75?
Yeah, multiple bottles too, not just one. So
5 of them. 5 bottles are just a bevy.
There's a pretty incredible selection of Bordeaux in this week. Obviously, we're not going to get a chance to go through everything. But yeah, I basically started picking things like large formats from, certain decades because there was just so many out there.
79 Margaux 5-liter, which by the way has a bid on it already, taking it from $24.30 to $25.30. 3-liter of 2000 Haut-Brion for $4,000. I mean, did you see the 53 costs? I thought that looked really cool. $325.
Yeah, the label's kind of coming apart there, but that's a great looking wine.
Cost at $325. Oh, 39 Dechem for $13.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
I'll bet you that one is a really interesting bottle. I mean, really, there was just like a ton of really cool Dechem, a 66 Dechem for $520, 70 for $325, 83 for $405, 95 for $500. I mean, just Dechem. And then 47 La Maison Haut-Brion, 79 La Maison Haut-Brion 6-liter.
Yes, yeah. The Mission's well represented this week. All kinds of great wines from the Mission.
90 Montrose Mag for $1,500.
Yes, yeah. That's a great one. Yeah.
That'll be.
You see the 750s come in. We talk about that wine and its ratings and how it performs, but the Magnum we don't see that often. So that's a great bottle.
That should be amazing. I mean, you and I, we've had the 90 La Consciente. That one is so incredibly good. We've got that at auction this week for $430. 61 Gravad La Rose for $995. We have 7 of them, and the 82 is only $305. 90 Grand Prix Lacoste for $230. 53 Ausone with a bid on it already, taking it from $750 to $800.
That's a very interesting bottle. Extremely limited production, I'm sure, way back when. I'd love to know how much of that wine was even produced, but yeah, that's a rarity. Yeah,
you can also get a 17 Ausone 3-liter
I know. It's like 2 extremes for Ausone this week. A big bottle of 17 and an old bottle of 53. So yeah, great representation there across the decade.
90 Chateau Chapelong for 240. I didn't think that was too bad.
That's another wine that's well represented. Both 89 and 90 are in. 89 is a phenomenal right bank vintage. There's 83 mags, 98 3-liter. 98 was killer too. That 3-liter for 98 really caught my eye. I was like, that'll be a great wine in a few years.
That'll be super cool. 89 Lafleur for $1,300.
Yeah. And there's a 6-pack too. Did you see that? Or no, excuse me, 3-pack of the 18.
Crazy.
4 of them. There's 4 of them. So
crazy stuff. 55 Canon for $770. We've got
another wine I thought where there were examples in this week where you could try wines from amazing vintages in the 50s for not tons and tons and tons of money. Whereas honestly, the 53 Ausone at 800 is probably that's one of the most interesting examples I can imagine. 55 Canon at 770. That's a lot of money for Canon, but that's a difficult wine to find. Good luck ever finding that again. So yeah, just a lot of great rarities.
You're talking about 70 years of age wines, right?
Yeah.
And so $770, is it a lot? I mean, that's not nothing, but 70-year-old wine, I'd say that's not a terrible deal.
Yeah.
This another one I was looking at was this 98 Chantenoy for 3-liter for $1,720. I thought that one looked really cool.
Yeah. Trotanoy, that's what I meant to say. Earlier I was saying Trollan Mondot, but Trotanoy 98 for $1,720. That's what I meant to say. It's not. I got Trollan Mondot and Trotanoy mixed up because they're right next to each other. But yeah, there's an 83 mag of Trotanoy at 360, which is it's a tricky vintage. I don't know that wine. In Magnum, it's probably aged quite well. 85. There's 3 of those at 135, which I also thought was quite reasonable for Trotanoy. Again, having not had these wines in recent memory, it's a bit of a gamble, but 98 3-liter at 720. That is a great bottle.
I polled my friends, my good buddies, and the most recent tasting.
The Celebutants over at
Cellar Tracker, your cadre. I mean, the most recent tasting notes are pretty effusive about it. Like they're about which vintage? The 98 Trotanoy.
The 98. Well, yeah, 98 is well known. I'd be curious about the 85 and the 83 if there's anything.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
those maybe not as much. And the last one I'll bring up in Bordeaux before I hand it over to you is 01 Château Latour Orageoui 12 bottle.
Lafleur Perrier.
Yeah, half bottles for $420. I didn't think that was too bad.
No, not at all. There were a couple other. Interestingly, there was another. Yeah, it was another 01 that I thought was a phenomenal deal because it's such an amazing vintage. Doisy Vadrine for $41.
I saw that. A lot of the 01s already had bids on. There were a few 01s I turned that were not.
It's such a great vintage. And some of the wines, I think, notably Riesec got sort of overhyped and overpriced due to scores, but it's such a great vintage, and there's still great deals in Sauternes. And people would argue it needs, more time or whatever, but you can still enjoy it now. And there's a lot of examples of those wines in the auction this week. And there's some off vintages stuff. I think there's some like mid-90s Decam that is more reasonable than other things. I think, you mentioned the 39. That's really, really interesting. I don't know if that was from what collection. That I have to look that up a little bit more, but there's a 66 in, which doesn't strike me as the world's greatest vintage, but for a birth year coming up or something, that'd be a great gift at 520. It's not terrible. The 70s in this week for 325. It's great wine. And 83 is amazing also. And then there's a 6-liter of 83, which would be just incredible party bottle. 90 Grand Prix Lacoste in this week. I haven't had it for quite a few years, but it was really, really good. That's at 230. There's a couple of those.
I brought that up.
Did you mention the 90?
Did.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Way to jump on that bandwagon, Walker.
Well, tell me the last time you had that wine, Mr. McGurn.
Argumentative.
I'm not jumping on any bandwagon. I just haven't had it in a while. So, give me a break.
Hurry it up, Walker. We gotta get to Burgundy.
I know. There's a lot.
There's a lot of stuff for us to cover. We've got run of time.
Okay, you touched on most everything that I kind of wanted to bring up. That, there's wide representations of lots of different producers. There's a case of Chateau Magdalen 05, which kind of snuck in, caught my eye. That wine we don't see very often. It's very traditionally made. It's been, I believe, it was sold and redone recently, or maybe within the last 15 or so years. Anyway, kind of interesting wine we don't see too often in Bordeaux. Again, great vintage Mouton this week, 82, 85. I mentioned the 09 3-liter. 81 3-liter Margaux I thought was really, really, really cool. Palmer 81 3-liter, 82 Palmer Magnum, 61 Pichon Baron, 86 Pichon Lalande. Well, there's an 82 again in this week. I think there's multiple bottles. Just great years for Pichon Lalande. So yeah, just really, really fun examples. Lots of rare and well-aged wines. So and there's all price points again. Not just crazy 4-figure things. There are wines, like I mentioned, the Sauternes from incredible vintages. 1990 Bataille for $75, amazing vintage, under $100. So lots and lots of interesting things to choose from.
Let's jump over to Burgundy. There's a bunch of new DRC. I'm not even going to go into it. There's some more. So I thought, actually, one that I thought was interesting was 17 Rousseau, Gevrey Chambertin, Claude Saint-Jacques Magnum. For $21.80, I feel like we don't see a ton of Rousseau Magnums come in, so they always catch my eye. Some Cocherie coming in, some really interesting Dujac, like the 2010 Claude de la Roche or the 18 Von Romani Ente. I thought those stood out to me. Also standing out was, I'm curious to get your thoughts on the 85 Auspices de Beaune, Maz Chambertin, Cuvée, Madeleine, Polignon, Élevage for $6,650.
Yeah, you forgot one word.
I missed one word. Yes, I did.
You're describing everything, and you didn't say who the Élevage was by.
Loire.
There you go.
I wanted to see if you would notice it that I missed.
Yeah, I did. I did see that. Yeah, that's a legendary wine. I think there's tasting notes from a lot of different professionals who've tasted it before. I want to say like Parker gave it 100 points or something, but maybe not Parker. Maybe it was Bravani. I don't know. But anyway, that is considered a legendary one.
There's a note from '08. Someone said that this was the first Burgundy that Robert Parker gave 100 points to. And then the most recent tasting note, Jim 23 says, Karen liked it. I'm joking. That last bit. I always love it though when I see a tasting note and somebody's like Sheila thought it was good. That's it. That's the only. That's the extent.
Yeah, there's always a level of kind of personal descriptions in Star Tracker where you're like, well, that's not helpful, but I'm glad somebody enjoyed it. So
yeah, well, if Angela liked it, then I'm all in on the bottle. Let me just place the bid right now.
That's crowdsourcing commentary.
1990, Georges Roumier, Chambois Moussigny, one bid takes it from 700 to 750. 09, Pierre Colombre, Chevalier Montrachet Magnum for $1,500.
That bottle caught my eye too.
There's a bunch of Ravenel. From the 90s.
All over the map from vintages too. There's from the 90s, 2000s. Yeah, it's everything.
I mean, Ravenel, Chablis Blanchot, Chablis Chapelot. I mean, just a bunch of Ravenel. I thought this mag of 05 Claude de Tart was interesting at 1100. 2010 Marquis d'Angevy Volnay Champagnes for 180. And then the last one I'll mention is this 2014 Georges Noëlla Grands Echezeaux Magnum for 680. And we also have a couple of 3 liters. A lot of cool large format from some pretty marquee producers here. That's
definitely something that stood out to me this week, is that there are some really rare wines in large formats. And you just don't see that. There's not many of them out there. Including those Georges Noëlla wines, the 14 3 liters of Grands Echezeaux. And there's also a 13 Von Romani Petit Mont Magnum, which I've never seen before from Georges Nollat. That's a really tiny parcel of Von Romani. Very, very hard to find and not terribly expensive. I don't know, how great the wine is. It's more of a rarity, curiosity for me. But yeah, just there's all kinds of great stuff. You mentioned, just sort of alphabetically, the Rousseau large formats, Clos Saint-Jacques from multiple vintages, including 88, actually, which is not easy to find these days. There's the Clos de Chateau Geoffroy 18 Magnum, under $1,000 for a Magnum of Rousseau. So I didn't think that was terrible. Yeah, there's a couple Arnaud Meursaults, the 11, and the 2010 Clos des Ombres. We don't see them too often as well. They pop in every once in a while, but they're really quite rare. There's a wild selection of Bouchard Le Romanée. I've never seen this many, and again, large formats of this wine in auction. 79, there's a 96 Magnum, 99, 01 and 01 Magnum. So really, really, really impressive lineup there. I think there's also some Von Romani Regno from Bouchard, which is quite hard to find as well. There's, again, I thought some kind of interesting deals from decent producers as well. Camille Giroud, Savigny Les Bons, Les Gravins, from 1993 at 45. So, great red vintage. Not, again, people love to look for mature red Burgundy from great producers that's not terribly expensive. And I think this is a perfect example. Bottle looks great and $45 reserve. So that, I imagine, would probably get bid up to a little bit, but, probably not a ton. You'd mentioned there's a bunch of interesting DRC in the auction. I did pick a couple things that looked really, really interesting. 76 Grands Echezaux, 76 Latache, 76 Romani Saint-Vivant, and 91 Romani Saint-Vivant. All were pretty wild to me. Let's see. There was also some nice selection of Comte Lafon wines in France. So they're available to bid. They're just not here, but they will be. Meursaults from 18, and looks like the Charme, the Clos de la Barre, Desiree, and Porzo. So really nice lineup of Comte Lafon wines. And let's see, there's Bachelet Charme Chambertin from 1999, phenomenal red vintage. Great wine. There is a Dren Le Rose Bonne 78. I saw, caught my eye for 600. You mentioned the Dujacs. You mentioned the Raveneaus. There's a really nice collection of Georges Mouret wines. Yeah, the Roumier selection this week is wild too, especially that 88 Bonne. That looks really, really cool. And then the Clos de la Bussière from Maurice Saint-Denis. There's older examples and new. There's 83, 96, and 99. Well, newer, I should say. But anyway, two of the greatest vintages from the 90s, 96 and 99 for red wines anyway. 61 Grivelet Richebourg, another extremely rare wine. There's some Jacky Truchot wines in this week, which you hardly ever see. 95, the Clos Sorbe from Maurice Saint-Denis. A couple of bottles I saw. There's some JJ Confront and Confront Cotidiot wines, which we don't ever see. The Confront Cotidiot from Romele Suchot 2002. So great aged example there. There's some great Lafleur, including a mag of Chevalier Montrachet. There's Chevion from 2010 and 96. A couple 14 Vincent Dancer, if you will. There's a Chassagne and a Meursault Perrier with quite, those are again, they do not come in that often. So those definitely caught my eye. And yeah, we mentioned large formats of the Georges Nollat wines. There's some really nice Guylaine Barteau wines in this week. Some new release Gouffin Hénin Macon wines. There's the Tri de Chavigne, which caught my eye, 2020 at 150. There's also the 08 Saint-Verin Clos de Ponseti, a couple of those at 110, and the 2021 Tinus Chardonnay Plateau de l'Aigle, which I think is like the second label. It's obviously a lot less expensive. I don't know the wines, but I know that, Mr. Gouffin is an amazing winemaker, and these wines are very, very sought after. So anyway, that. And I think, yeah, that 85 Hospice was great. There's also like a selection of Maison Loire wines, which I thought was interesting, including the 85. It's Loire Dauphiné. It's kind of an interesting label. It says Loire Dauphiné on the top, but it's the Bourgogne. And I'm not exactly sure because it doesn't come from the Dauphiné estate as far as I know. I'm curious about that one. But yeah, just a really, really sort of wildly ranging selection of Burgundy and crazy formats. And yeah, just a blast this week for Burgundy.
All right. Since you took up so much time talking about Burgundy, I'm going to have to just jump through the rest of France. Sorry, Paul. There's going to be a bunch of stuff we missed, but to everyone listening, you can get all of our picks on our blog post. And we'll send them out in emails and stuff. So even if you don't get everything here or you feel like you missed something, that's okay. It'll all be online. I'm going to jump over to Champagne where we have this non-vintage Moet Chandon Petit Liqueur, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, what is that stuff? It's not even champagne, right? It's like a fortified. Like it's kind of like Ratafia. It's not really wine, but it's like a fortified.
Well, so I mean, I don't really know much about it, but from my memory, what little I do know, I guess it was first introduced in the 80s. Petit Liquorelle was an attempt from Moet Chandon to market a new style of cocktail drink, a mixture of Moet Chandon champagne and Marc de Champagne.
Oh, okay.
Be made from champagne grapes.
It's brandy, yeah.
And I guess it sounds like it was pretty much discontinued in the 90s.
It's got bids on it though. Somebody wants it. I think it's it's a rare bottle too. It's very interesting. Got a bit on it.
I thought it was interesting. We've got a mag of O2 Krug, which I thought was cool. We got a 93 Paul Roger, Winston Churchill. That was pretty cool. O2 Winston Churchill as well. And this 96 Charles Elner Seduction has 2 bids on it. Are you familiar with?
Yeah. I remember actually selling this wine when I worked retail in San Francisco. So I haven't seen too much of it since, to be honest. And I think the 96 was released, gosh, I don't know, sometime in early 2000s, but I don't really remember. Maybe 99.
And then I'm going to mention one more thing, and then we got to wrap it up because we're on a time crunch here. Paul spent too much time talking about Burgundy. So
that happens.
In the Loire, we've got this 18 Jardins de la Martinière Siuawa with a screw cap. This one.
Say that again. What was that wine?
Jardins, Jardins. So this
Jardin de la Martinière Croquis and Siuawa. Wow. Yeah. That sounds like natty stuff to me, but I don't know.
It is. Energized Rosé Pet Nat.
Energized Rosé Pet Nat.
On emblematic clay tuffeau soils of Saumur. Whole bunches spent 2 weeks in stainless steel tanks undergoing carbonic maceration with free run juice bled off and reblended after pressing while they read novels of Jean-Paul Sartre to the juice. The wine was bottled before its secondary fermentation, spent 3 years on its lees. Non-disgorged, ripe, and generous. And then we've got another one of this Jardins de la Martinière Coquille. Interesting stuff there. And both of those all have bids on them. So I'm sure they're going to jump up in price. Outside of that, unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it up, but you can.
So I don't even get to mention my other France picks. Wow. We are on a time today.
You wasted your time, Paul.
No, we don't ever waste time talking about great wines. It's not time wasted.
You had a chance and you wasted your time. And this is why we can't have nice things. No, but you'll be able to get all of Paul's picks on our website. And you can also get $15 off an order of $150 or more if you use the code CELEBUTANTE, which is CELEBUTANTE.
Make sure not to forget that.
That's what Paul is. He's a CELEBUTANTE.
Yeah. Well, at least one of the definitions. Lack of accomplishment, I think it was.
Only this week, and you can find all this and much more. By the way, there's a ton of Rayas, a ton of Gugal. The Lalas are in. There's like a
you're taking extra time.
Taking extra time. There's an 89 Boucassel homage à Jacques Perrine
the homage wines. There's multiple vintages.
Multiple vintages of homage.
There's also 97. I think it's even a full case of Bonneau this week too, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, there's
so much cool
phenomenal
stuff.
wines.
So much cool stuff.
For some reason. So
and you can bid on it all right now through April 28th, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when the auction closes. For WineBid's Finally Hammered, this has been Jeff McGurn and Paul Walker wishing you happy bidding and cheers.
Cheers.